Hey everybody, Blueberry Piper here, and today we're going to go over some advanced mechanics in Super Auto Pets. This video will cover rare interactions and lesser known mechanics in the game, and assumes you've already understood the basic mechanics pretty well. In case you don't, please check out my first mechanics video to start with, as a refresher. Okay, first on the list is chili dodging. Did you know that the chili attack doesn't always hit 2 units? That's because it only hits animals in the first and second slot. If, for example, your second slot was empty, then a chili attack would not hit your second animal. This means that if you have 4 units, you should probably keep the second slot empty, as that has a chance, however small, that you can dodge a chili attack, which is 5 damage. The turn order goes like this. First the animals in front fight, then all the animals move up by 1 slot, then the animals attack again. This means that if you have 1 open slot, you can only dodge a chili attack 1 time, because after the first hit, the animals at the back will move up to fill that slot. Similarly, if you have 3 animals, you should position them like this. So this got me wondering, what other abilities are affected by empty spaces? Turns out, not much. For example, animals like the whale, dodo, and giraffe all ignore spaces when activating their abilities. Animals that trigger when a friend attacks in front of them, like the kangaroo or the snake, also work fine. The one exception I could find was the tiger, which does not activate its ability if there is an empty space between it and the animal in front. Speaking of animals in front, did you know that animals can sometimes be pushed? When more than 1 animal is summoned as a result of a feint, sometimes animals can be pushed forwards. But wait, why is this interesting? Well, this can sometimes cause effects to miss their intended targets. Effects like the turtle's melon armor or the flamingo's buff. For example, watch what happens when this flamingo faints. Instead of buffing your unit like you would expect, the unit you want to buff has actually been pushed, resulting in your ram being buffed instead. So if you're aware of mechanics like this, you can position your units to buff what you want correctly. But of course, this is a really rare situation. This also applies for the turtle, so maybe you could consider putting your turtles behind the sheep, so it doesn't buff the wrong unit. Okay, now this next one is one that I think most people know, but it's still worth mentioning. If you put a mushroom on a scorpion, it will come back to life with the peanut attack. This is especially useful as a way to break your opponent's melon armor, or just as protection against snipers like the dolphin. The same goes for a scorpion that is swallowed by a whale. They will come back with peanut attack. Another trick that's fairly known but a little bit less common is the level 3 octopus and tiger combo. If you have a level 3 octopus and a level 1 tiger, this actually makes the octopus gain +8/+8 before every attack, in addition to already doing 5 damage to every enemy, which is insanely strong. This works because when the octopus's ability is triggered, the tiger will repeat the level 1 ability of the octopus. Note that this does not work if the octopus is any less than level 3, because then the octopus does not have any ability triggers during combat. Similarly, if the tiger is level 3, then this also will not happen, because then the tiger will just make the octopus do AoE damage twice instead, for a total of 10 damage per enemy before every attack. But what's interesting and a bit unexpected is that a level 2 tiger also triggers the +8/+8 buff. Huh, weird. Another tip is that animals that have a start of battle ability will always activate their ability, unless there's no valid target. This means that skunks, leopards, and dodos will always activate their abilities, even if they are knocked out at the start of a round. Note that in the case of a whale, if the animal in front of the whale is knocked out, it will not count as a valid target. That's why whales sometimes don't eat the unit in front, even in cases where the dead unit should have spawned another animal. This is because spawning happens after all the start of battle abilities have been resolved. So in this situation, there is no animal in front of the whale. The chick only spawns after the whale has tried to eat something. To illustrate the point, here's what happens when an animal in front of the whale gets sniped. It will pick up the next target instead. Ever get tired of those pesky dolphins sniping your butterfly? Now, what if I told you that you could avoid it just with a couple of items? In order to understand how, we first have to look at ability turn orders at the start of the round. As you probably know, abilities activate according to which animal has the highest attack. And because your caterpillar has a higher attack than the opponent's dolphin, this means that first the caterpillar will activate, spawning the butterfly. Then the opponent's dolphin will trigger, killing the butterfly before it had the chance to copy some stats. Remember, the butterfly is also a unit, a 1-1 unit, so its ability to copy stats will always go last. This is also why skunks are good against caterpillars. Anyways, in order to avoid getting your butterfly sniped, all you have to do is make sure that your caterpillar has less attack than your opponent's dolphin. In such a situation, the dolphin would snipe the caterpillar first, allowing the caterpillar to survive and transform into the butterfly. But of course, that's easier said than done, because animals gain 1 attack for every EXP. The lowest amount of attack that a caterpillar can have is 6, whereas the dolphin has 4 attack by default. This means that in situations like Versus, all your opponent has to do to counter your caterpillar is to buy a default dolphin, and there's nothing you can do about it. Or is there? Well, if you want to lower the attack of your caterpillar, there is a way. First get a mushroom on it, then use a pill on it. And there you go, your caterpillar is now a 1-1. But now the problem is the dolphin will just kill the caterpillar instead, so you can put some melon armor on it. Alternatively, because animals always activate their ability at the start of battle, this means that the caterpillar will always turn into a butterfly, even if it's dead. You can see this happening if you run a 4 squad. Unfortunately, this does not work if you have 5 units, because the dead caterpillar will take up a space, so there's no more space for the butterfly to spawn. So if you want to protect your 1-1 caterpillar, either find melon armor or make some space. Now here's something that might help if you like to play with the goat or the sauropod. You'll notice that the one thing that these two animals have in common is that they both use charges. But what happens when you combine two animals with different amounts of charge? A. You add them. B. You take the higher charge. C. It takes the animal with the charge of the highest level. Or D. It depends on which animal you drag. And the answer is D. Whichever animal you drag is the animal that will lose its charge. This works exactly the same as if you were combining two animals with different foods. The one you drag loses its food. The one that is stationary keeps the food. This also means that if you combine an animal directly from the shop, they will not get any charges back. That is, unless you level up the sauropod or the goat. When they level up, they get all their charges back. And one final thing, feint ordering. If two animals knock each other out, then the animal with the lower attack will activate its feint ability first. Then, any other ability on the same team that gets triggered from the feint will happen. For example, the ox and the fly. Then the other team will go. The feint ability will trigger, then the other animals. Then at the end of all that, items will trigger. So items will always trigger last, which means that if you have a scorpion mushroom, don't buy a fly, because that fly is going to trigger before the mushroom. Similarly, if you have a deer mushroom, then the bus will spawn first, then any flies, then the mushroom. Note that when something gets summoned, it will try to take the space of whatever summoned it, and if it has no space, it will be summoned to the front. So your fly or your mushroom deer will always be in front of your bus. Also related, knockout effects will always happen before feint effects. Attack power does not seem to affect this. This is why sometimes Rhino can be a bit hit or miss, as they will not attack summoned units immediately. And what about hurt effects? Just like knockout effects, hurt effects also trigger before feint effects do. However, if something takes fatal damage and is going to feint, then it will no longer be a valid target for hurt abilities, even if it hasn't feinted yet. This means that a camel is never going to be able to save something from fainting, if it has already dropped to 0 HP. Okay, but what about chili attacks? If two animals are knocked out at the same time with a chili attack, which one activates its feint ability first? In this case, we still compare the attack values between the two attacking animals to decide which team goes first. The team with the weaker attacking animal does. But when resolving the feints within the team, the animal at the front will always feint first. After that, the second animal that got hit by the chili can activate its feint ability. It does not matter how much attack either of these animals have. As always, item abilities activate after everything else has happened. And oh yeah, did you know that you can click on the white text here to look at the patch notes? Yep. Alright, that is about it. I feel like these things are actually not very well known, so I wanted to share them here. I mostly did experiments myself to figure everything out, so I might have made a mistake here or there. So if you notice something wrong, or you think there's something out there that's important that I've missed, please leave a comment down below and tell me about it. And also, if you've learned something from this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. I stream this game every Tuesday and Thursday right here on YouTube and on Twitch at the same time, so drop by and say hi. That's all for me, thank you for watching. Bye bye.